just gonna open back up because we already done prayed and said that. Yeah. You finna get opportunity to tell them the truth. You finna get opportunity to tell them the truth. I mean, he can state the resolution as if this resolution is not right, he can state the resolution as needs to be stated for the record, and it'll be the correct resolution. But yeah, we're gonna guys, thank you so much for being here. We have already opened up with prayer and the pledge tonight. We're going to go directly into our special call meeting tonight um, for our, I'm sorry, for our agenda, I'm sorry, for our budget tonight. Um, Mr. Sims, are you there tonight?
Yes, sir, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. We already opened up. Now we're getting ready to turn it in the hands of you guys. I don't know, are you presenting or you want Brittany to present?
Brittany will, the finance director, she will present it as well.
Thank you. Brittany?
This is the slideshow from last week, and I'm not going to really take the time to go over the whole presentation again because it'll take a chunk of our time. But I wanted to just scroll over again one more time. So these were the major changes to the last proposed budget. We removed the $1 million transfer to Capital Improvement Fund. We reduced the transfer to Workers' Compensation Fund by $500,000. We reduced the contingency by $250,000, and we reduced the contingency for new positions by $64,530, and then we increased our loss collections by $573,144. So the overall budget impact, our total budget was reduced by $1,814,530, and that was a property tax reduction of $2,387,674. And this supports the rollback millage rate of 9.454. And the increase in loss collection is what offset the impact to the property taxes. So that's the main slide I really wanted, because like I said, with only 30 minutes, I don't want to dive too deep into that.
Well, I'm just going to go right to it. Patrick, are you with us tonight?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you, sir. I want to go ahead and try to clean up this language for appropriations because that's several of the commissioners have concerns about that. You want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. So at the last budget presentation, the board discussed the appropriations, and if you all recall, the budget that was presented at the last budget presentation had very limited appropriations to each of the nonprofit entities based upon the resolution that the board had adopted limiting those appropriations to $2,500. There was a substantial discussion about the impact of that on those organizations, and there was discussion from the board about restoring all of the appropriations back to their previous year's level, subject to two provisions that board members suggested, and I'm not saying that the entire board agreed to these, but these were two suggestions that were made, so we wanted to include those in there to give the board a chance to vote on them, either approve or reject them. And if you look on your appropriations resolution, under section number 2, which is page 2, section number 2,
Just a new one,
the
y'all.
resolution reads as follows. The Newton County Board of Commissioners hereby approves budget appropriations for fiscal year 2023 to the aforementioned entities providing community-wide services to the cities of Newton County, provided, however, that no funds shall be distributed to any such nonprofit entity until A, the entity executes a memorandum of understanding with the county to perform its community-wide services, and B, the entity provides to Newton County a full and complete audit of its financial records, including income, expenses, and distributions for the years 2019, 2020, and 2021. Section A of that document requiring the memorandum of understanding, that's something that's really going to be required for the non-governmental entities. We are required to, as you all are aware, we're prohibited from simply granting gratuities. We can't give gifts. When we transfer money to a governmental entity such as the Board of Health, the library system, Viewpoint Health, they're even a government entity, the DFACS, to the CID, those are basically intergovernmental transfers. But when we transfer money to a purely private organization, we need to support that with an agreement. And what that agreement will basically say is that those organizations and entities are performing a service on our behalf, and we're paying them for that. And that was done in the original year of the appropriations, and we'll essentially repeat those. We may clean those agreements up a little bit, but they'll be very simple. They'll simply say that in exchange for the appropriation they receive, they will perform the following services, and they will tell us what their services are. We're not going to tell them. They're going to tell us the nature of the services they provide. So that's what the revision is for your consideration. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Calvin.
Patrick, could you make it clear in that paragraph 2 that the appropriations will remain the same, subject to those 2 new requirements, but the appropriations for this year will remain the same?
Yeah, we can do that. I think that's actually covered in the actual budget document itself, but we can certainly add a provision in number 2 that would say the Newton County Board of Commissioners hereby approves budget appropriations for fiscal year 2023 to the aforementioned entities providing community-wide services to the citizens of Newton County in the same amounts as were appropriated in fiscal year 2022. Would that satisfy
That's
it in your
fine
mind?
with me, yes. Yeah.
Predicated on the things that follows. Predicated on the things that he,
Yes.
yeah.
The other 2 items, I guess it's going to it will give them some time. Well, we need to change when is the effective date of this? Is this going to be right away, or is this going to be a year from now?
I mean, right away.
I'm asking the question to the lawyer. Hang on a second.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And my reasoning for that is you're going to ask people to put together a lot of stuff over a 3-year period, and we're going to give them the same amount of money anyway. So it really seems reasonable to allow them some time to get their books together, because July 1st is when the appropriations are generally made.
But I think they have to give financials to, when they come and present to the board already.
But they didn't this time, did they?
Yeah.
They did?
They
Okay,
do-
well, I wasn't here.
they've been
at
doing it ever
that
since I've been
particular
here.
meeting. But they didn't give 3-year report, did they?
No, I'm saying they've been doing it ever since they've been doing it for 6 years.
Okay. Well, I'm asking Patrick, what is reasonable, since we're Patrick, is it reasonable, since we're asking for the appropriation to be done at the same level for the whole year, should those requirements be postponed at some point in the future, or should they be asked for right away?
Look, I believe you're giving taxpayer money to private entities. I believe it is absolutely appropriate that you expect them to show you where those funds are going and to show them where those funds are going before you give them any more money.
Okay.
If the board wants to relax that requirement and you know, go ahead and grant the appropriation, but provide them, you know, 6 months or something to produce the audits, I don't have a particular problem with that. The issue is if those audits reveal problematic expenditures or problematic fiscal controls or problematic issues, there's nothing you can do about it. The money's going to be gone. And you know, keep in mind, what you're doing today is you're merely budgeting. You're budgeting money today. You're not spending the money today. So all you're doing is setting aside these funds for these organizations until they do these things. It's no different than any other line item in your budget. You're budgeting for, you know, a lot of stuff. You're not writing checks today. You're just simply authorizing the budget.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then, it's reasonable for you for us to say, we'll keep the appropriation the same as last year, but we're going to add in these two requirements right now, and prior to a disbursement of the money, they have to jump through these two hoops, right?
That's right, and that's what this says. It's no funds shall be distributed until they satisfy both of those two requirements.
Okay.
Commissioner Sanders and then Commissioner Mason.
So I just want to get a complete understanding. If these nonprofits had to present their budgets and their information every time they actually came up here, so why are we asking for 3 years again? Because what I just heard that every time they present, they have to provide their budget and all their information. So why are we asking them to present 2019, 2020, 2021 when they were on appropriation with us during those years, and we should have that on file?
So what they provide is a list of how they utilize the money. They don't do a complete audit as what the board is asking them to do, but they do give a rundown on what they utilize the county funds for, that they receive from the county as appropriations.
So in this complete audit, just to get clarification, we're asking for their budget and what else, Patrick? We're
The
asking
resolution I drafted calls for
financial records, including
That is
income.
going to require them to have an accountant review their financial records, review their,
Okay.
They won't necessarily have profit and loss statements, but they'll have
Yeah.
things similar, profit and loss statements. It'll have an accountant review their financial protocols. It'll have an accountant review their, you know, to confirm that all of their income is accounted for and that all of their expenses are accounted for, and that they have, you know, appropriate records to support all of their income and all of their expenditures. An audit is a lot more than just a budget.
So I'm thinking this should be done for every nonprofit, whether in a governmental or not, to be able to provide this information. So we have this on file so they can make sure that they're spending the monies appropriately. I think this should be for everyone, not just certain nonprofits. So maybe we need to amend this, the actual language to say it should be for every nonprofit, whether they're in a governmental or whatever, because they are receiving tax dollars. So I know I'm a taxpayer. I would like to see what they're doing as well. This should be for every nonprofit that we're giving money to be able to see their financials, and it should be on file in open records to the public. Oh wow, Jesus, to the public. My second question, I remember, Brittany, I sent the email in regards to, and I didn't see it on here, maybe it was removed, that you guys were allocating $2 million of the ARPA fund money into the budget, and I asked what was that money gonna be used for, and you didn't have an explanation of what projects And I know from the BOC, the board voted that anytime the ARPA dollars are utilized, it has to come before the board first. So I was wondering how we commingling that. That should go before the Board of Commissioners to decide where those funds are going, because there's nothing mentioned to where that $2 million is going.
So the way I explained that in the email was the fact that we do have to have a balanced budget. So the way that the ARPA funding works is when we receive the money, it goes into an account called deferred revenue. So then once the money is allocated, it moves into revenue. So the plan is once, you know, the board approves the projects, then we'll move it from deferred revenue into revenue. And so that was just literally an estimate, just to get, because we have to have a budget for every fund. And so that was just an estimate. And then once y'all actually approve projects is when we'll amend the budget.
Just this is when the board has the final decision. I would like to see that removed and brought before the board individually, because it is ARPA funds and it's federal dollars. So if we don't have anything listed as what projects right now where it's going, that should go before the ARPA committee, as y'all, the board voted for, and then to the board to actually vote, because we're putting money that's supposed to be utilized for American Rescue, and we don't have anything next to it where it's going. That's $2 million. So there needs to be something that says this money is going somewhere, and it needs to go before the board before it's actually distributed to the budget.
Mr. Jarvis? Go ahead, Jarvis.
So, Commissioner Sanders, as Brittany indicated, that is for budgeting. As far as the wording of commingling, our accounting department, Brittany actually knows what's happening, so it's not anything improper what she's doing or suggesting. It's just when we have those projects that relates to ARP, we have to have an accounting as far as expenses and revenue, and that's how she budgeted. But there's nothing improper what she's doing.
Yeah.
And other counties or cities probably doing exactly the same thing, same way.
Yeah, that might be okay, but I'm going based on what the board voted. They said that any of the ARPA dollars or projects go before the board to decide where those fundings are going. So if we're putting it inside the budget right now, and there's nothing attached to it where the funding is going, then we won't have any say-so, because we already voted on it collectively with the budget, unless you're bringing those projects before us to vote individually. That's why I was asking in the email, and I never got a straight answer.
We would never expend any of the funds until it comes to the board for approval. Like I said, this is just strictly an estimate of what we think that y'all may spend next year, but this funds will never be allocated anywhere unless they're approved by the board. It's the same thing we do for the SPLOST every year too. The SPLOST budgets are always just an estimate too, based on the projects that we think that may be started or in the process for the following year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was on record.
Commissioner Edwards, guys, we got a hard stopping point at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that money, Brittany, has not been per se transferred into a county fund yet, right?
It all lies in the ARPA
A budgeted
funds.
2023 budgeted fund, right?
Yeah, it's all lying in the ARPA
Okay,
account.
so it's just a placeholder on this piece of paper
Yes.
for the budget? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So, all right, so my next question was on item B, number 2, item B, the entity provides Newton County a full, complete, and satisfactory audit by a auditing firm or a CPA firm? Jarvis?
Yes, that would be for the nonprofits. Yes, that would be for CPA firm or some formalized audit for those nonprofits.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Along those same lines, Mr. Sims, is that CPA firm going to be someone that is hired by the county, or does each individual nonprofit have to go out and select their own individual CPA firm to do that audit?
That's correct. That would be hired by the nonprofit. That wouldn't be a county expense.
So they'll go out and select their own individual CPA firm to actually do that audit.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner, Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, and I personally, I think that is a great idea, you know, and to Patrick and to Jarvis. It's a really great idea, but I think we need to extend it more than just for the nonprofit. I think we need to go out and audit Gators Plantation and other county entities that receive county funding. And so that the taxpayers can look at what it is they're taking in and how they take it in. So you just put what I say with a press of a burden, so they'll know. Second thing I just want to share with you, in 2016, I raised a question about commingling funds. It was the SPLOST funding, and it was the impact fee funding. And for 2 or 3 years, people kind of lied to me and said, well, oh, this wasn't commingled. No commingling. Nobody did it. And then I think when Brittany, a little bit before Commissioner Sanders came on, we was in a budget meeting, and he said, well, you know, the impact fee money has just been paid back, either impact fee or splash money. And the question I asked Lord at the time was, who authorized it? Nobody, and I never got an answer. And then the kind of crazy emails I got said, well, the time limit was up or whatsoever. And so there has been a time that funds have been commingled, and I guess the county have paid it back. And I knew that from what they told me, that there was it was against the law to do that. But I guess at some point and sometime in government, the law may not mean too much. But I think there should be in a separate fund as our funding. That was why, you know, at Nelson Heights we did double fund, because I learned from prior experiences that when you put 2 different funds in the same account, that you may not know what come from what. And you know, it's my understanding also, and maybe Ms. Brittany, since I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm talking about, I think it's around $4 or $5 million that had been commingled. So you know, I think that we should keep an eye on and know, at least the taxpayers and the commissioners should know where our money's at, and the fact that it has been commingled here, and that we should be more cautious. And the reason why I had brought that up then, I'm gonna get through, Mr. Chairman. The reason why I brought it up then, because I was a firm believer that we needed to know, so hopefully it never happens again, because I'm a firm believer that history repeats itself. And all the time, you know, and there's so much that goes around this horseshoe, and with the people who work for us, and sometimes people authorizing stuff that the board don't even approve. And I never did get a straight answer, but I knew it was paid back. So they said, but how do we prevent that from happening again?
Thank you. Commissioner Sanders, after this, I'm calling for the vote. You got your question? Okay, well, I seek a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, are we voting on item E?
We are.
Motion to approve resolution R062822.
Thanks. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? Resolution. Commissioner
Can
Cowell.
I change that and just add in there, subject to the revisions that Patrick is gonna put in?
Yes, that's the new resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the new resolution. Guys, let me make note of that. Seriously.
Should
I'm glad you said
I
that.
restate?
Yeah, we need to restate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to make a
Thank you.
motion that we approve resolution R062822, subject to approval of R06.
Subject to the changes that was stated by the county attorney.
Subject to the changes as stated by the county attorney.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Now, any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. C. To the clerk, we want to be sure that that's in the, I guess, the minutes or in the,
Yep.
whatever.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. It passed, 5-0. Next is item F. I seek a motion, please. Thank you. Yep. No. F. No, this is,
Item F is what we just voted on.
yeah,
Didn't we?
no, we just voted on, we just voted on E. Yeah, we just voted on E. Now we're voting on F. F is the appropriations. Once you state this motion, please state that you approve based on, the edits that was stated by the county attorney also. I seek a motion.
Whoa.
Man.
Okay.
Guys,
We were talking about this one,
yes,
28822A.
yes.
Okay, that's the one we were talking about. And that's the one I thought we just voted on.
We just voted on the budget.
We ain't discussed that yet. There's a resolution to adopt the budget, but there's some language in there I would like to discuss with the county attorney. Y'all went out of order.
Wait, no, he. E as the resolution.
So that's subject to changes as stated by the county attorney. Motion was made by Commissioner Edwards, seconded by Commissioner.
The county
But that was
attorney
just
hadn't
our-
discussed item E yet. We discussed item F.
But that's what Brittany went over
That's what
first.
Brittany
Is
just,
that correct, Stan?
that what
Yeah,
Brittany just
but
went
Brittany
over.
went-
Well, wait a minute, let me just ask Stan.
He asked for a motion for item E.
I know, but I think he meant item F, because that's the one we've been discussing.
They're both resolutions.
Yeah.
I know, but there's some language in
So let me clear it up. Let
item
me,
E that needs
so
to be changed.
let me clear it up. Commissioner Edwards, which one did you make a motion on?
I made a motion on item E.
Thank you, sir. And now we're on item F. The- Yes.
I didn't do that again because I'm not for it. I thought we were voting on this like you said.
The one we were discussing.
That's why I was asking, are we voting on the budget or the resolution? That's why I was asking. This resolution.
Man. Guys, we voted on it. I mean, if you want, you can. But now we're on item F. We're on item F, which is, we're on item F. Brittany went over the budget. Guys,
And the
y'all had an
changes. She
And
went
the
over the budget
changes.
and the
Went over
changes.
the budget,
And
but
the
we're
changes.
discussing it on the resolution about the changes, the two items that he added to that, which was item E,
To the budget.
to the resolution. The resolution.
So let's,
So I guess I'm just confused what we voted on. We voted on the budget.
We voted on the budget, sir.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Cowell, are you saying that you rescinding your vote?
No, I'm gonna vote for the budget. I'm
Well,
fine
guys.
with that. It's just, I just don't think that was what I'd like to talk about that resolution though first.
So, I mean, the motion passed. The motion passed unless y'all want to vote to read. But we're gonna move on to item F.
Okay.
Item F. Item F is the appropriations. Guys, I seek a motion on the appropriations.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution R062822A, which is a resolution of the Newton County Board of Commissioners approving fiscal year 2023 appropriations to entities conferring substantial benefits to citizens of Newton County.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It passed, it passed 3-1 with one extension. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Commissioner. Guys, we got to get out of here. We
I understand you made a vote and you made an extension. You got to discuss it, Mr. C. You have to have a discussion on it, regardless how long it may take.
No, guys, I'm gonna call for adjournment because we got
I mean, you can do that if you will.
yeah, they got a public hearing that
If you
has to
will.
start at 7.
If you will. The reason why I abstained was because when Stan made the motion, it was not clear to me that we were voting in terms of the budget. And I did not like the budget, and I didn't want to vote on the budget. And so, that's the reason why I stand on this one, because I think it's not it's not being clearly presented to our fellow commissioners. So the question that I have for Patrick is that do you have to wait another week in order to rescind your vote? Because I know with with Juneteenth money, wait the following week, or can you rescind your vote at this meeting? You hear me, Patrick?
I'm sorry, I could not understand that question.
Yes, sir. I wanted to rescind my vote on the budget. Can you hear me now? Patrick, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I wanted to rescind my vote on the budget. And I knew that when they rescind their vote on the Juneteenth money, that they came back 2 weeks later and rescinded their vote. Can that vote, or can my vote be rescinded at this meeting?
You could make a motion to rescind the previous vote. That's a motion that's permitted, yes.
Okay. You haven't said that, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to rescind the votes on the budget that we just had.
Guys, Patrick, we standing adjourned because it is 7:02.
Can you adjourn, and we just had made a motion to rescind as you had said it, and you were the county
It is
attorney,
7:02,
Patrick.
and it is, I mean, the meeting has been advertised to start at 7 o'clock.
I'm asking a legal question, Patrick.
You know what, I tell you what, you got a second? Commissioner Henderson made a motion to rescind the vote for the budget. You got a second? Okay. All in favor to rescind their votes? Yeah, yeah. All in favor to rescind their votes? No, he said all the votes. All in favor to rescind the votes? All opposed? Thank you. I seek a motion that we stand adjourned. So moved. Second. The motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Mason. All in favor? Guys, we stand adjourned. Hey, y'all pull y'all name tags out.
Is it over?